Well, hello, 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 and one more hello. We are back with the 2 year anniversary of the Death, Taxes, and Sports podcast, episode 119. We have made it. We're here. Tonight, we're joined by AK and Millie Goats podcast and John Ryan from the Predictive Playbook. Here with some of my other esteemed colleagues, Mr. Ben Holloway and Mrs. Marisa, the Team Up North fan, and Fortunate Tigney. How are y'all doing today?
They're applauding me in the chat. I know it. They're applauding me in the chat.
And John, welcome back. It's been a minute. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on. I can't wait for this discussion of Super Bowl to start.
Let's go, John.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And, Marisa, Ben, it has been 2 years. We want to keep it a little simple, of course, but reflecting on the last 2 years, Ben, I remember the first podcast that we did, the sound was absolute trash. And I'm sitting here trying to figure out how to use Podbean, how to use Alt2 to try to edit and all this. And I'm like, man, this episode is trash. And then Ben called me and was like, bro, we got to redo this. So we re-recorded the Super Bowl, and it got better. The sound got better. But man, it's been one heck of a ride, man. It's been one heck of a ride. But I'll throw it to you guys. Tigney, Ben.
We'll let the queen go because she's got to jump in a bit. So Marisa, we're happy to have you on the DTS team, and the floor is yours.
Well, I just wanted to say to you both, and I know Gary's not on. The first time I came on here, I was a guest, and to get the extended invitation from you gentlemen to join this incredible podcast, it's been an amazing journey. What I appreciate is that we just don't conversate only on this podcast platform, that we conversate literally every day, whether it be breaking news, whether it be thoughts about, draft picks, fantasy football, the upcoming draft, whatever it is. But the important thing is that we check on one another and see how we doing. To have three incredible, amazing, talented men in my life that, is just, and don't tell the husband. But no, it's seriously to have you all, days that I don't feel like myself, sports has become an outlet where, we could just chop it up and everything else. And so with life, sometimes lifing, and, Millie Goats and John Ryan, I'm sure you can chime in and say this, that sports has been kind of a positive distraction, whether it be a trade happening, someone getting a fat contract, someone getting, unfortunately, promoted to no longer a coach, or whatever it is. It's really cool to chop it up with some incredible people that, have found their passion in this realm that we call, the wonderful world of sports. So I'm grateful to be part of this journey with you gentlemen and every guest that we've had on here, and those that are currently watching right now. We appreciate the support of DTS. It means so much to us.
Awesome. Tigney, much love, much appreciation. Definitely heartfelt. Ben?
Yeah, that was we appreciate you the same as you do, and those were some wonderful words, eloquently spoke by the queen of DTS. And we appreciate all you everything that you do, and especially what you just said was very nice, and we appreciate that as well. For me, Jeff, like you said, the first one, I'm sure, podcast starting out, it's got to be a similar story or somewhat similar, but to see where we were to where we are, this is far from over, but to get from where we were to where we are now, and it's been a great ride, and the ride's not over. It's like a roller coaster that we are keep going. It's a never ending roller coaster. We ain't going anywhere.
Yeah, and it's great that Tigney, we've been able to know you for a while now, but Gary was actually one of the first people that I met my freshman year at Johnson Wales University. One of the very first friends. And Ben, another friend that I met senior year of college, and we still kept into each other day, came to my wedding, and it was good to see him after 11 years in person. So it's just, I just think that's what just makes it great, just how long we've known each other. But Gary, let's get you in here, and then let's get to some Super Bowl preview.
No, again, happy 2-year anniversary, everybody. If you told me 2 years ago that I would be doing a podcast consistently for 2 years, I would have laughed at you. But here we are. I'm thankful to be able to have this avenue and this means to express myself and talk about sports, this thing that I love very much ever since I was a little boy, and to do so with friends that can be free, can be open, and can really just enjoy the week-to-week conversations and just joking on cracking on one another, cracking on our own teams, cracking on each other's teams. Like, it's what's needed right now. And I don't want to get on my stump, get on a stump and talk about how the world needs kind of a little bit of debate and a little bit of peace at the same time. But in some small way, that's what we offer here. And like you said, Ben, it's 2 years, but we're just getting started. So for everybody, any fans of ours from the beginning, thanks for riding with us this whole time. All the guests that have been on for the last 2 years, thank you so much. And buckle up, because we're going to take things going even further. So.
Let's go.
Let's ride. Let's ride.
There you go.
Had to do it.
It's a good transition. I can't hate.
Let's do
That
it.
was
All
good.
right.
Good transition. I can't hate.
So John, AK, let's get you in here. But Tigna, I know you have to go soon. What is your Super Bowl pick? Before you go, what is your Super Bowl pick?
Let me start with this, because both of the teams that you got, a team that's kind of trying to make it back-to-back since the Tom Brady days of him leading the Patriots, and correct me if I'm wrong, gentlemen, I believe it was Super Bowl 38-39 was the last time the team went back-to-back.
304, yeah.
Yeah. So, they're trying to get that and then you got the Niners on the other side with an incredible story of a person that was Mr. Irrelevant that got an opportunity to do something amazing for this team that can literally, with a chance given, literally just like Tom Brady did when the quarterback at the time went down, Drew Bledsoe, the ball went in his hands and the rest is history. And so with Brock Purdy trying to write his own history, the weapons that he has on the team with Deebo Samuel, who now with 2 weeks, I'm sure, and it's been said that he's 100% healthy. CMC, who is, your MVP finalist. And then you got George Kittle. And then, you got that defense that literally frustrated my Lions in the second half. Nick Bosa with 2 sacks on Jared Goff. I'm going to take a term from Russell Wilson and say, why not us with the 49ers in this squad? I'm riding with the Niners. I know Lions fans are disgruntled and bitter and hurt and sad and pissed, all mixed up in a blender and don't want to pick the Niners. But what they have is something incredible and extraordinary. Yes, again, the Chiefs are going to be tough. This is going to be where Brock Purdy is going to have to use his arm, I believe, because this is postseason Kansas City Chiefs. This is not the regular season Kansas City Chiefs. We saw Patrick Mahomes lead this team not once but twice on the road, in both of them hostile environments, and proved it as such. This isn't going to be anything different. They're going to give everything that they can to the Niners, but I think it comes down to a last play of the game, whether it be a field goal.
Give us the score, baby. What you got?
Here it is. 38-31. The 49ers will hoist the Lombardi Trophy for the first time since 1994.
That's
38-31.
That's some points.
40 points. Right. Okay. All right, Tigney. All right. AK, let's throw this to you, sir. For your 49ers, man, and then John, we're going to get you in this as well. What are the two biggest keys to victory for the 49ers, sir?
There's two main ones, but I do want to congratulate you all. 2 years. That's pretty cool. And I will say,
thank you.
All these, you guys have been consistent in reaching out and interacting with us since we first started a year ago. And that's always been really cool. Y'all have been consistent and very welcoming and open ears to give us advice and anytime we need help. So I appreciate that. We at our show appreciate that. So congrats on 2 years.
No doubt. Thank you.
The 49ers' ability to run the ball is now, if you don't think Spags knows what's going to happen, you're out of your mind, because Spags knows they're going to try to run the ball. You would like to see the 49ers hit 22 personnel a lot, 2 backs, 2 tight ends, Juszczyk on the field. That'll give them a couple of different matchup problems right there. You only get one receiver when you got that formation, but I think they're going to do a lot of stuff out of 22 personnel. So Kansas City's given it up the last 10 games, 4.8 yards a carry. I think everybody wants it to be a quarterback versus quarterback battle between Purdy and Mahomes. But I think Kansas City is going to try to do everything they can to stop CMC. But I think Shanahan is a coach, and we had a guy on our show last week, played for Shanahan. He goes, that dude sticks to his script no matter what. So once the game plan's in and Shanahan wants to run the ball, he's going to try to run the ball. And I think the weakness of the Chiefs is going to be attacking the outside zone that they love to run.
I think for the entire year they were 26th in rush yards allowed per game.
And I don't mean to send it off on another tangent, but that was Baltimore's problem. Run the ball.
Oh yeah, they gave it. AK, the running back got it 6 times.
6.
Yeah, 6 times.
Makes no sense.
That was wild.
Makes no sense to me. Makes no
Unbelievable.
sense.
Todd Monken, everything he did successfully the entire year, just threw
it away.
Threw it all away.
And
but AK, I wanted to ask you on Juszczyk, right? It seems to me when we're watching games, anytime that he makes a play, it just seems like it gets the whole team. It's like, I'm not saying you win every time he scores a touchdown or whatever it is, but there's something about him as a fan. Do you feel that too? Like when he makes a big play, it's like the whole stadium, like the whole team goes nuts, it seems.
There was a quote by CMC the other day that was praising Juszczyk, like the amount of work that he does, how versatile he is, what type of player he is, how much work he puts in. And to see him get, he doesn't get a lot. He's not going to take a game over. But there was 2 plays Purdy made, one rolling to his left, absolute dart to the sideline, and then one going back across his body that Juszczyk made. And that's where the 22 personnel can get you. You're looking at Kittle and Debo and all the smoke and mirrors going on, but there goes Juszczyk, and not only is he's not just going to leak into the flat, he's going to be a dude that just keeps climbing levels. And that's where Purdy found him twice the other week, So in these big games, they use Juszczyk a little more. So and you like to see that because that means he's in his bag. I mean, that means Shanahan's in his bag.
Yeah. All right. Hey, and these matchups, Sean, and I'm gonna throw a little bit of a bone here because I want to know your favorite prop bets for the Super Bowl. But before you answer that, I want to get your opinion on who are the 2 biggest keys to victory for the Chiefs.
Well, I guess for the Chiefs, I'm going to start with their defense. They're going to have to find a way to stop Kittle. I think Kittle's going to be the featured player. Whether he catches enough balls and touchdowns to win the MVP is another question, but you're getting paid a ton to make that prop bet. So that actually is one that I've already taken to the window. And I think I agree with that 22 formation that the 49ers are likely to come out with. I think there could be a little bit of a wrinkle to start the game where they come out with a spread formation. And the reason I say spread formation is that makes it so much easier for Purdy to see who is coming on the blitz.
Yeah.
If you have everybody packed in, it becomes, it's like 20 people in an elevator. You can't see what anybody's doing until it's way too late. Another prop bet with Purdy is that his first pass is completed, and that's plus money.
Ooh.
I mean, think about the 49ers, because when I saw this, I kind of went, what? But what do the 49ers do, whether it was Montana or any of them? They start out with an easy pass into the flat or a nice, easy slant, a screen, and it's completed.
Yeah, that seems like easy money. I agree with you on that one.
Yeah. I don't think it's likely he's going to throw a bomb, 50 yards down the field in the first play of the game. So I think they'll use a little bit of a wrinkle in Shanahan, as you said, and it's accurate. He gets set in his game plan, and there's no changing it, and almost to a fault.
Yes.
Where I think Reed has the advantage there that he now think about when he was with Philly. The biggest gripe the fans had in that area was that he couldn't hold on to leads, and that he'd get a lead and he'd sit on it. The other team would get closer and closer and closer, and sometimes they lost games that they should have won. Now he's become one of the best closers in the game and very high on the all-time list. So if he has the lead going into the fourth quarter, it's likely that they're going to win. Certainly not statistically that happens. But the one thing I really vented about this week was the trend that came out of CBS Sports that said that Shanahan was 0-35 when trailing by 5 or more points going into the fourth quarter.
Oh yeah.
And, okay, so now he's 1-35. But I ran my database on this for every coach that's in my database, and the guy with the most wins has a record of 20-80. That is the most wins trailing by 5. And I'll give you 3 guesses who that is. Well, it's not Shanahan, obviously, but it's Andy Reid. So he's actually ahead of Belichick, who, off the top of my head, I think he has 14 wins with 5 point or
John,
more deficit.
is that fourth quarter?
That's wild.
5 point or more?
Isn't it wild?
Fourth quarter, 5 points or more?
Yeah, trailing by 5 or more going into the fourth. And the reason I ran that query was because I thought to myself, well, this is the NFL. This isn't like the SEC where comebacks always happen in the fourth quarter, like like flapjacks,
Yeah.
But when I ran it, I couldn't believe the number of coaches that did not have the ability to come back in the fourth. And the all-time worst record, and this guy is a Super Bowl winning coach. He never won a game in his career when trailing by 5 or more going into the fourth, and his name is Gruden. And
wow.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
Wow,
I mean,
that is, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Wow. Talk
about it. I mean,
of knowledge.
John Ryan's bringing the smoke. Bringing the smoke.
That is good, because my thing is, what I was thinking about too, and I was going to ask AK is, yes, that was amazing at his Niners came back 17 down, took the lead, and ended up winning, and they are where they're at. Are you concerned about the fact that possibly, I mean, you're going against the Chiefs? Are you concerned, and this is for anybody, that if they start slow and fall behind against Patrick Mahomes, that they're not going to get out of that hole?
Yes.
No.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't feel that. My thing is that what the Chiefs do on defense is they run a lot of man coverage.
Yeah.
And they run a lot of press coverage.
Yeah.
And one of the best quarterbacks in the league against those two things is Brock Purdy.
Mm-hmm.
So the 49ers match up well schematically on offense with the Chiefs defense, as odd as that may seem.
Mm-hmm.
And Shanahan, again, to a fault, he's very stuck to his plan. But if we don't think that he's going to come out there with what he knows to attack, I mean, they're probably not going to go after the cornerbacks. I mean, that would just be dumb. I think they're going to. I think it's going to be a middle of the field like you normally see them do their thing.
Right.
Levels, crossing,
and
motion.
He sticks to his plan, but this is not the same 49ers team that's going to be going into Sunday from 5 years ago. So
Hey,
people
we got
need
Brock
to erase
Purdy.
that from their mind. Yeah.
Game changer.
And speaking of Brock Purdy, Gary, a lot of people talking about him being a role player, Brock Purdy. But here's my thing. They're trying to compare the Brock Purdy of this year to that year back in 2020 when the 49ers went into Lambeau Field and beat the snot out of the Green Bay Packers, having had passed the ball literally only 8 times. That year, Jimmy Garoppolo only accounted for, I believe, 20 to 27% of the total offensive production for that team as far as having the ball in his hands. This year for Brock Purdy, 71%, which I didn't even notice. They said that on ESPN earlier today. So the thought of Brock Purdy being a game manager or trying to compare him to Jimmy G, I think is a little bit slighted. So you guys out there in Twitter world, watch that now. But Gary, I want to throw you a bone here. Are there any role players? What role players on each team do you think will have a big game?
So I'll bring it down to just one player on each team. I think for the Chiefs, I think for Patrick Mahomes to have a good game, it can't always be Travis Kelce. I think this is teed up for Rashee Rice to have a hell of a game. Really kind of set himself up to be a big name, be a top flight receiver going forward. If you can develop that connection to go alongside of Travis Kelce, the sky's the limit there. So I think, you look at Rashee Rice on the Chiefs side. On the 49ers side, look, we can go McCaffrey, we can go Deebo Samuel. I think Brandon Ayuk has to have more of an imprint on this game for that team. Again, we see a lot of these teams, especially during the season, where they get stuck with their safety valves. They like to go to their same favorite targets. Like we don't like other defenses aren't going to pick that up quickly. So there has to be somebody after that. That's an almost a decoy in essence that has to step forward. And I'm thinking on that side, Brandon Ayuk has that in him to be that. And I think if the 49ers pull this win off, he's going to have a huge factor in the game alongside George Kittle, alongside CMC, alongside Debo. It has to be a complete effort on that end. So, yeah, we'll say Ayuk for the 49ers, and we'll say Rashee Rice for the Chiefs.
Okay. And Ben,
agree
we're
with
talking
Ayuk.
about Ayuk. Yeah, Ayuk, who's probably going to be his last game of 49ers. Sorry, AK. I don't see Ayuk coming back. I just don't see that. I don't.
Oh,
Ben,
no.
I know you want to get on Brock Purdy.
I think if they have a choice between Ayuk and Chase Young, it's Ayuk all day. And that might be the decision that they – I don't think Ayuk is going anywhere. I think it's much more likely T. Higgins and Pittman, free agent receivers, are going somewhere. I think that the 49ers make a way to keep Ayuk. And I mean, I don't know, but I think Ayuk wants to be a 49er. It just seems that way.
Why wouldn't you want to be?
Yeah, it just seems that
49ers.
way. But on
the
Purdy,
49ers. I mean, come on.
Yeah, on Purdy, I just have to say, like guys, it's like everyone, he's the point guard of this offense. Shanahan has had 3 or 4 different quarterbacks with this same roster for the most part. None of them have elevated this offense to what it is now. None of them. It's not even close. And they had Debo. They had Kittle. These guys, for the most part, have been the same with whoever you want to say, Nick Mullins, Jimmy G, Trey Lance. Like, Brock Purdy has elevated this offense to a much higher level than any of those guys. And it's with the same weapons. So that, to me, just ends the argument completely.
I think it's all about the team and not about the ego. That's why they're all dialed into Brock Purdy. In my opinion.
He ain't no Dinkin and Duncan. He led the league in yards
he's
per
throwing
attempt.
some bombs.
Yards per attempt. Brock Purdy, number one.
Bombs.
He's
throwing some bombs.
He's not. Yeah. I don't think he has the talent to be like a top 3 quarterback, but that's not required. You don't need to be that. You don't need to be that. I think to win a Super Bowl, the quarterback has to be top 10-ish, somewhere in the 8 to 10 range. I think your quarterback needs to be to win Super Bowl. And Purdy's in that range or more than that. Like, come on now. Led the league in QB rating, QBR. I just had to give Purdy a little bit of love. Yeah. But
no doubt.
Wondering if we want to get to these coaches
impact.
and their legacies.
Yes.
All right, let's
open conversation. Ben, I know you really want to get in this one, but John, I definitely want to get your opinion on this one after Ben goes. How does the outcome impact both Shanahan and Reid's legacies? Because this one, legacies defining, is always a big topic. Ben, I want to throw it to you, and then John, I definitely want to get your thoughts, and we can open up for topics for these next 10 minutes. Go ahead.
I'm going to start with Andy Reid. There's only 4 in the entire NFL history. There are 4 head coaches with 3 Super Bowls. Only 4. That's it. Belichick, Chuck Noll, Bill Walsh, Joe Gibbs. That's it. That's the entire list. So for Reid winning, obviously, would be his 3rd. So there you go. The legacy is right there. I mean, if he joins that crowd, there is absolutely nobody who could say he's not a top 5 head coach ever. There'd be no argument. None whatsoever. That's 5 coaches with 3 or more rings. There's no argument. You could not make a case that he's not one of the best. Clearly, that's something to jump for and something to go for. And for me, that's at stake for him and his legacy, building it. On the flip side, if we were to lose, I don't think it hurts the legacy that much. He would drop to under 500 in Super Bowls, which isn't a great look. But I don't think the loss hurts it too much, because I'm sure AK can vouch for this. For 3 years, it feels like every August we say The 49ers roster, top to bottom, is the best when healthy. Which also transitions right to Shanahan. If that is the case, and your main guys are healthy right now, which is we have to live in the right now, and most people who follow sports, who know sports, love the NFL, can agree for the most part, the 49ers roster, when healthy, is absolutely the best in the NFL. And if that is the case, and you don't win a Super Bowl, how does the coach not get some blame for that? It's impossible for that not to be the case. And Shanahan is like, kind of reminds me of Peyton Manning early in his career. Was great. Come to the playoffs. Nothing. And Shanahan, has gotten two Super Bowls as a 49ers head coach, multiple NFC championship games. So comparison doesn't actually work because Manning was going out early. But still, as far as, having a lot of success without a championship, I mean, there will be people who say, can he get it done? If he doesn't do it again, then people are going to be like, well, you have all the pieces. You got everything. You got Debo. You got Kittle. You got McCaffrey. You got all pros everywhere. Wagner is probably not Wagner. Warner, yes, is arguably, well, not arguably. I think everybody would agree is the best linebacker in the entire league. And you got Chase Young and you got Bosa. Like, you got talent freaking everywhere. You got to get it done. Like, you don't have an excuse. I don't care if you're going against one of the best quarterbacks ever. Where he stands, we don't need to go there. I don't care if that's the case. Your team is better. You should win.
Yeah.
Your team is better.
Thanks.
There's all pros everywhere. So for me, that's a stake for Shanahan. Can you get it done?
Yeah.
Are you going to get it done?
John, they always talk about like comparing between Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan has pretty much owned Sean McVay in the head-to-head matchup. But what Sean McVay has over Kyle Shanahan is that ring.
Yep.
Even if he never wins again, he's a championship coach. He sealed the deal. He has nothing left to prove. But for Shanahan, I'm a big fan of his. But, man, he's got to seal the deal. John, let's get you in this and then open forum for everyone else.
Yeah, sure. I think what is most important is that we sometimes, I agree with everything Ben said, sometimes there's too much emphasis on winning that last game. And the NFL is way different than the other sports. There's no game 7. They're essentially playing game 7s from round 1 on, and every game is do or die. In a one-game setting, we all know that balls can bounce off of helmets like we saw last week and end up being game-changing catches. I really think that catch really, really changed the momentum of the game and sent the 49ers on to a victory. In terms of the coaching, I think Reed really did a good job in Philly with what he had. I don't think that team, looking back on them, was super special. I think maybe the media hyped them to be something special. But Andy Reid, the man, if he won, he might retire. And I know it sounds crazy, but I was
everything
hearing
sorry, John, didn't mean to interrupt, but everything you read this week is absolutely, he's not close to the end, including quotes from I read something that quoted the Chiefs executives. It was like an article on ESPN, and then Reed's comments himself this week. I agree with you. He may be tempted to, but his passion and his love from everything that I saw, he ain't going anywhere. And frankly, you got Mahomes. Right. You got to walk away from that.
Well, there's the other end. If they don't win, do we blame Mahomes because he didn't execute the game plan properly? By the way, he's been an underdog 12 times in his career so far. He's 11-1.
I was just going to say it was either 11-1 or 10-2 was my guess.
Yep.
There we go.
And again, the spread too. And he obviously comes into this game now as a 2-point.
John, do you know was the only loss? I'm wondering if the only loss was the Bucs Super Bowl, right?
It was
when he had no offensive line, none.
Yep.
Wow. He's running into an immovable force though, because Brock Purdy's never lost a game that he started and finished in the playoffs.
That's correct. That's the flip
Hey,
side of it.
there you
So,
go.
Yeah.
How about
you
that?
know, I'm getting a little bit off your original question, but I think Shanahan has the most pressure. Reed already has two, and if he does stay, I mean, look how many times these guys have been knocking on the door, and one of the times the door is going to open, and he's going to get his third, and who knows, maybe he gets his fourth and his fifth. I think that his coaching staff is that good. I think the player personnel and the way he has structured the chemistry of these teams, because there was a point where I actually wrote an article for RotoWire when Kansas City was not playing good football, and there was actually a chance that they were not going to make the playoffs.
Rock bottom was Christmas against the Raiders.
Yeah,
that was rock bottom,
and it was. And I'm certainly glad that they recovered and they're in. I don't think any of the other teams were as good, but same thing with the 49ers. You have to tip your hat to Shanahan. He starts out 5-0, then he loses the next three horribly bad. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they go on another, 6-game win streak. And now they are the second team in Super Bowl history to not score a point in the first quarter of each of their last two playoff games. I mean, you just can't make this stuff up, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's
just
crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's all. Look, those are all valid facts. AK, I'm gonna give you the last word on this segment. Legacy.
Well, I mean, from a fan's perspective, it has been a lot of fun to watch Shanahan bring them to the NFC Championship like 4 out of the last 5 years and 2 Super Bowls. So as much as it's like, does he need to win the game? Yes, but to start the season every year as a fan and know that your team is one of the best in the league has been phenomenal. And then you add CMC and you add all these guys. So, I mean, it would be awesome for them to win a Super Bowl. I haven't seen the Niners win a Super Bowl since I was like 7 or 8 years old. So they've been knocking on the door 3 times. So, I mean, it is, I look at it differently because I'm like, what he's done from where they were is a complete and utter masterful job. So I look at it differently. I mean, it'd be fun to win the Super Bowl and basically talk trash to all my friends for the entire year, and I'd be insufferable. But watching them play this well for this long has been a real treat. So I mean, yeah, it's infuriating when they lose, but I don't think. I mean, what else can you add to Andy Reid's? I mean, we all know how good he is, and you pair him with Mahomes. I mean, he's a legend in his own right. I mean, there's just so I mean, if I had to put it on which one's bigger, it's probably bigger for Shanahan, just so the perception of him can be finally vindicated. That he overcomes the 28-3. He avenges all these losses that have just been
finally gets the monkey off his back.
Yeah, painfully. The whole McVay thing where Tart dropped the interception and then they gave the Rams like 10 plays at the 1 yard line. Like, I mean, it's just been terrible ways to lose football games. So Shanahan, it's probably more important to him.
Okay. Gary?
No, we'll make it pretty unanimous. This is definitely a Shanahan win. Like Andy Reid, his legacy is established between what he's done in Philly and what he's done in with the Chiefs. All of this is gravy at the end of the day. He's got his 2 championships. He's one of the greatest offensive masterminds to have ever coached. Like all the superlatives can be applied to him. Is he going to be called the GOAT? No, but he doesn't need to be. He's Andy Reid. He's won enough championships. He's very much he's secure within himself. This is all about Shanahan, and the reason why you've all laid it out there, 28-3, having this team, this 49ers team, and AK, you can run with me on this. They remind me of that 94 team that won the Super Bowl. Just how stacked they were from top to bottom. You had a capable quarterback. You had a decent coach. You had a hell of a defense. You had Deion Sanders on a loaner. Like let's just like prime time on a loaner to help you win a championship. Like you had, I look at these 2 teams. I'm like, no, they're pretty similar. So for them, we talked about this earlier in the season with the Bills. Well, if not now, when are you going to break through? Because the NFC is going to get tougher. Your division is going to get tougher. It's not going to get easier. Seattle's not going anywhere. I don't think the Rams are going to go anywhere, and the Cardinals may get better eventually, sometime soon, I guess.
But one thing you don't have to worry about in January is the Cowboys.
Right.
You ain't got to worry about them.
I'm still waiting on the rematch of the NFC Championship.
You see,
right.
That's low hanging fruit. We don't go for those.
No, not. Although AK and you got, to your point, much more success in the playoffs. Technically, your Super Bowl drought is longer.
Technically, well, yeah.
By facts.
True.
Only by 1 year.
By
Yeah,
one
by 1
calendar
year.
difference.
By 1 year.
That's,
You can end that in a couple days. You can end that. And I won't be able to say that.
You got to take your shots
Yeah.
now, because if they do win, know that I'll be knocking on the door virtually.
I mean, if the 49ers win, Ben, it's you, it's Cleveland, it's
Detroit, the Texans, the Browns,
the Bills.
The Bills.
Oh God! Speaking of Bill,
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah,
that's another argument for another day.
yeah. So let's keep this train going. Doc Rivers, final head coach position, or how concerned should the Bucs fans be? I'm going to start off with this one, and then I'm going to throw it back to you, Gary, because I'm just dying to know. Doc Rivers right now is 1-4 as a head coach for this team, ladies and gentlemen. He's 1-4.
Goodness.
That's the first thing I wrote down. 1-4.
Right? And you thought that it was going to be the coaching change. You get rid of your best defensive guard in Holiday for Damian Lillard. You give up defense to get offense. Your offensive numbers go up. Your defensive numbers go down, but you're still top 3 seed in the East. I mean, and then you go for Doc Rivers. You should have just kept Budenholzer at this point.
Mm-hmm.
You should have just kept him. And now Doc
Overreaction City getting rid of Budenholzer.
And Doc Rivers is going to now be the head coach in the All-Star game, which is just an absolute calamitous mess. Absolutely.
2 weeks ago, he was calling games. Now he's the All-Star coach?
Right? Yeah. So I'm going to say how Gary, and then we'll throw it to you, John, is how concerned should they be? He's 1-4 right now, and their defense is absolutely horrendous. It's not going to get any better, and I could see a first-round exit for this team once again because this something just isn't working, and I can see Damian Lillard being gone by the end of next year. But by the end of this year, it's just not working to the way that it should, in my opinion. But Gary, your thoughts, and then John, we'll get you in here.
What did anybody expect from Doc Rivers? Like, he literally was sitting here calling games from home, from ESPN and all of that, and then all of a sudden he's thrown into the wolves with the third best team in the East. But I'm sorry, when was the last time that Doc Rivers won a championship? Just anybody off the top of their heads?
2008, freshman year.
2008, and hasn't been to a conference finals since 2010.
So Milwaukee. What are you exactly expecting to get from Doc Rivers? Because this man has been eating off of one championship that was manufactured by the NBA 16 years ago. And all of a sudden, he's just all-time great. Give me the body of work that says that Doc Rivers is an all-time great coach. He's good, but, we've seen plenty of good coaches. Listen, Frank Vogel has a championship. I wouldn't consider him an all-time great. He benefited off of having a superstar athlete in LeBron and AD. Doc Rivers benefited off of the big three, and he's going to try to benefit again off of Dame and off of Giannis. And you laid it out there, Jeff. Defense wins championships. No matter how you slice it, no matter what sport it is, you have to have a solid defense to win and have that winning be sustainable. Doc Rivers has never been synonymous with sustainable defense that leads to winning championships. There's plenty of proof on this. So, again, I'll say it one last time. Milwaukee, what were you expecting? This is it. This is what you got. They're going to probably finish with 50 to 55 wins. They'll probably be a top 3 seed, and they're going to go out in the first round to Orlando or Indiana or a team that is definitely less than.
Gary,
because
wouldn't that be funny if sorry, but it just when you said Orlando, how hilarious would that be if he lost to Orlando? That was his first head coaching job.
If he loses to Orlando in the first round of the
Revenge
playoffs,
game.
if he loses to Orlando
20 years later, AK.
yeah, if he loses in the first round of the playoffs, period, he need to take his ass back to the broadcasting booth, apologize to Mike Breen for just up and leaving him like that, and keep it moving.
Oh man.
I mean, it's facts. It's facts. John, let's get you in here. Then AK.
I don't know what more I can add because I agree everything that it's been said. I mean, yeah, he's coached a lot of games. He's played a lot of games. But it to me, it came out of left field that they would fire a new coach who they could have mentored possibly into a great coach with a few years of patience. But the fact that they got rid of Holiday, that was the beginning of the head scratcher movements that they did. And you can't win, like you said, you can't win in the NBA, even though the scoring is ridiculous now. You can't win in the playoffs unless you have that clamped down, lockdown defense in the fourth quarter or even earlier in the game where a team has to struggle to score. And they obviously do not have that. And the way they've started out here, of course, in the press conferences, you'll hear, well, we're implementing a new system. It's going to take a while for the players to get used to this system. And I mean, at the end of the day, basketball is pick and rolls, right? Isn't that what every play is a pick or get a guy freed up? That's the way I see it. I mean, conceptually, it's a pretty simple game, but it's very hard to play at this level, obviously, because everybody's so big and strong and quick and fast and talented. But I don't, I hate to even bring this up, but a guy named Ben Simmons, I would love to have been a fly on the wall in some of those meetings because, Simmons ranks 11th on the all-time list in triple doubles. He had a 42-point triple double in that last year in Philly that went so badly down the stretch. And granted, he was part of the problem, and I'm not putting all the blame on Rivers, but something was said or done to screw up
John,
a guy like
it was
Simmons.
it was the press conference directly after the game.
Oh, yeah, that.
And Doc Rivers, the after the game press conference was it. Let's just be honest, it impacted Simmons.
Yeah, he did throw him under the bus. There's no question. But I think this all started like maybe a month before. And I'm just speculating, but when you take a talent like him, and granted, maybe he's a tough kid to coach. He was at LSU, right? But across the team, did Harden want to play for him? No. It goes up and down the list of things that have not gone right with the teams he's been coaching, like you said, since 2012. And it hasn't been good. And it's mind-blowing that they're going to allow that Milwaukee team that's very talented to kind of go down the toilet and miss another year of getting a ring. And on my power ratings, they have now dropped to 10th overall. And that actually puts them behind the Sixers, which, I had to double check the math, because I don't have Embiid playing. But you said 50 to 55 wins. I think it's closer to 50, which means they're going to be playing 4 games over 500. And as we know, the NBA this year has some very bad teams that are almost automatic wins, if not automatic wins. So for them to only play 4 games over 500 the rest of the way here is everybody's going to say, like, I don't know what they're going to say. I can't say what I just thought of on the air, of course, but fans are going to be pretty pissed off with the Milwaukee ownership and making these decisions. So I don't like seeing this happen to any team, but I mean, what else can happen? I mean, you can't think they're all of a sudden going to win 60 games and make it to the championship. I don't see it. Thanks for letting me rant.
No doubt. Love it. Hey, okay, let's get you in here, man.
Yeah, I credit Doc Rivers for being able to keep getting jobs. I mean, that's good for him, right? I mean, I'd like
little golf clap. You
can say whatever you want about the guy. He keeps getting jobs. I mean, good for him. I mean, he said he was going to give up his all-star coaching. I don't really get that. I don't know why they got rid of the other guy in the first place, but I'll tell you what, you got to give credit to Doc Rivers for landing jobs and usually landing jobs where there's a lot of talent.
Every time.
Because his reputation as a person is so up here. That's what happens, and that's why he's overrated by fans, especially Celtics fans. And he's so well liked in the media. He's so well liked because his personality. Everyone loves his personality, so he's this good person, and it just inflates him to be this better coach than he actually is. But that's
Kudos
really
to
what
him.
it is. Yeah, right.
Be a good person. Be a good dude.
Yeah. No doubt,
Wasn't
no
there
doubt.
another coach
But yeah,
out there that was a better
let's-
choice, though? I mean, I keep going back
Yeah.
to that.
Nick Nurse,
Facts.
Budenholzer.
If I can say, look at Nick Nurse with the Sixers when they were healthy compared to Doc Rivers when the Sixers were healthy. I mean, there's no comparison to that resume.
Yep.
And now,
Facts.
what's he going to
Facts.
do with Milwaukee versus what Nick Nurse did with Milwaukee? Let's see how that compares. And I don't think it's going to
Right.
be in favor of Rivers.
Exactly. And AK, I know you have to jet. What is your Super Bowl pick, sir? We're gonna make sure you get that in here before you have to depart.
Here you go, everybody. Here we go. This is totally unbiased.
All right.
49ers
All right, now,
win
let's see what we got.
31-20. The over hits. Purdy throws for 303 touchdowns. Fred Warner's the MVP. Pick 6.
Ooh, okay.
Mhm.
All right.
Mhm.
All right now. I
I
like
see
it.
it.
I
I
like
see
it.
it.
Let's get bold with it.
I can
Hey,
dig it. I
Fred
can
Warner's
dig
probably
it.
got some good. That's good betting there. He's
Yeah.
probably down there on
I
the
like it.
MVP list. Good
I like
defensive
it.
guy.
But hey, but before you go though, as always we like to give people an opportunity to give a shout out for their show and everything, what you got going on. The floor is yours, sir, before you have to leave. We want to make sure you're able to tell the audience your work.
I appreciate you guys allowing me to be on here on our show, especially the 2-year anniversary and the Super Bowl, special. But I'm part of the Millie Goats. We do a show every Wednesday and Sunday, live on YouTube, Rumble, Twitter, and then the podcast comes out Thursday and Mondays. And we are basically a sports satire program, and we talk a little bit about DraftKings DFS. That's kind of our deal, is we're chasing down this grand prize that we never seem to get close to, but it does create good content and we can laugh about it. And basically that's what we do. We do all kinds of segments and stuff. So we have a good time.
Awesome. Well, sir, we definitely appreciate you coming on. Obviously, stay as long as you need, but we just wanted to make sure you have a good shout out for your show. Make sure to check it out. He has great content. I like that Appalachian State background
Yeah,
back
man.
there. We should have mentioned the Tigney back in, what was that, 2000
yeah.
when they beat Michigan in the Big House? Damn, we should have rubbed that in the face, man. I should have.
Mhm.
Sorry.
I was a part of that team.
Really? Do share.
Yeah. Yeah. We it was one of the greatest things I've ever been a part of. I'll tell you that. We went up there and put it on them pretty good. After we got done, it was just a whirlwind.
Okay, you played?
Yeah.
You were on
What
that team?
position?
Yeah.
What position?
I was a punter,
That's dope.
but in that year I played on special teams. So
Nice. That's
Oh,
That's
awesome.
wow.
awesome.
You were in the
So-
Big House that year. Wow, that is.
So
wow.
that's a real missed opportunity that we did.
Yeah, you definitely had that in her
I didn't want-
face. Like,
well,
Oh,
she
no.
she was proud, Michigan, and they won the Natty.
man.
Like
Yeah, but
you got to press on that wound.
okay, they won a national championship and have the biggest upset, and on the wrong side, the biggest upset in NCAA history. Both things can be true at the same time. You absolutely rub that in.
hey,
Oh,
next
man.
time I will bring that up. I'll bring
Do you have a jersey? Wear the jersey.
I'll wear the jersey. I got the rings. They even put the Big House on the side of one of our national championship rings that year.
There you go.
So yeah.
beautiful.
Okay, nice. All right,
That's awesome.
All right. Oh, that's dope, man. Well, that's really cool.
Thank
But
you,
hey, we
guys.
appreciate you.
Thanks, AK.
Yeah, appreciate you having on.
Here we
All
go.
right.
Go Niners, baby.
Hey, go Niners. Good luck. We're rooting for you. Let's keep this thing going here. So who else do we miss? Everyone give their. I lost my train of thought. Everyone give their thoughts on Doc Rivers.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
You can skip me on that.
Go
We're
ahead.
good. We're good.
Go ahead, Ben. No, say what you got to say. Say what you got to say.
I pretty much. I mean, I interrupted all y'all, so my bad. But you guys were.
Okay.
You guys
I
said.
mean, yeah.
You guys said pretty much it. He's a better
Okay.
person
All right.
than he is a coach.
He's a great
That's
regular
what it is.
season
That's
coach.
just what it is.
He
All right.
is a great regular season coach.
Yes,
There you
that's
There you
great
go.
for him. That's really great. Participation trophy. All right,
Exactly.
John. Man, UNC versus Duke. This one is this matchup, this game, very interesting. I had UNC winning this game because I generally felt UNC had the better team, better roster. RJ Davis is just playing out of his mind. He's just gotten better every single season. Baycott, I feel like this man, we were talking about it, Ben, 2 years ago about the Final Four, and this man is still in college. Good Lord, he's a super senior.
Mhm.
You know, what it really come down for me, John, and this is just Duke's ability to get the stops needed when they needed to get back in the game. I think that's the thing that really, really made me nervous. And Filipowski has been playing very subpar, and just the lack of to make free throws. Just those things kind of stood out for me, you know. And you think about this Duke team. This Duke team is not a national championship team right now. I see this as like a Sweet 16, maybe Elite Eight team. But yeah, I'm not surprised by the result. And UNC then turning around and losing to Clemson. How do you feel, Ben? But your thoughts, John?
I wasn't surprised at that loss to Clemson. Historically, when you've had North Carolina and Duke in the top 10 each, the winner does fall flat in the next game. And after all, these kids are 18 to 20 years old on average, and we got to keep that in our minds too. They're humans just like us and prone to regression. But I think Duke is obviously going to be playing with revenge, and that always was a good thing when Krzyzewski was the coach. Like you said, this is not a national championship team yet. I'm sure they're going to be building towards one. But I do think North Carolina is going to end up winning both of these contests, and I do think North Carolina is a national contender. I think the line on this game will probably open up around Pick'em. It could, just because of anticipation of public bets saying, well, Duke's not going to lose twice to them in the same season, so therefore I'm going to bet Duke. It's happened before, and Duke has beaten them twice in the same season as well. So I think that is the way I see this, and certainly Duke can make a run into that Sweet 16 probably pretty easy. To get then into the Elite Eight is going to take some breaks, I think. Whereas North Carolina, if they get in the right bracket with the right seeding, so to speak, they could make a very deep run and could be a Final Four team. Separately, and again, I'm digressing here, but I have not thought that UConn is that number one team that's just going to steamroll their way through the tournament. They are 21-2 last I checked. I mean, they're a very good team, but I still go to Purdue and then Houston because of what they've been able to accomplish this year, especially in those recent road games. And then look at what Alabama's doing kind of quietly. So it's going to be a really exciting rest of the month of February. And then, you always look forward to March Madness as soon as the Super Bowl is over. So this one should be a really special one. But I do think North Carolina is the team that will win. I believe the game is Saturday night, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
with the
we'll
North Carolina,
yeah. So I think initially here, my instincts, my intuition, my experience tells me that I probably have a lean on North Carolina in that game.
Okay. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Definitely going to be interesting. UNC is just, I'm kind of happy for that coach at UNC, Ben, because there was so much hype going into last year where they were preseason ranked number one. If they had a second bad year, he was probably not going to be there next year just because of the allure of UNC. Yeah. But your thoughts, Ben, and then Gary will get you in here.
I'll keep it simple. I walked away from that game thinking UNC is just better.
They are.
Like it I keep it as like we can throw any statistics, whatever. But for me personally, when we just even preparing before, I'm just like, I'm gonna keep it really simple. I just think they're the better team. The better team won. I mean, they're just better than Duke this year specifically. So that's all I want to say on that one. I'm good.
Okay, Gary, thoughts? I know how much you love college sports.
No, but we talked about it. We talked about this last week. Anytime you can have Duke, UNC, B, and like both teams are in the top 10, even when they're not, it's still compelling television. It's still prime time. It's still box office. But when they're definitely in the top, when they're in the top 10, it multiplies. It's definitely that heavyweight fight. And even if you don't know the names, like I'll be honest, I don't know the names, but the marquee matchup, and that's the beautiful thing about college is you're not really there for the names. You're there for the school versus the school. UNC and Duke is always going to be a key matchup. Michigan and Ohio State's always going to be a key matchup. That's the beautiful thing about college. So I think as long I'm looking at it from that perspective. I think yes, North Carolina is a credible threat. I do know enough to know that RJ Davis is probably going to be a top 10 pick in this year's draft should he decide to come out. But I think, yeah, like long term, if you're asking me like a team that could be somebody that could take down UNC, I still like UConn. I still like how gritty that team is. And there's nothing fancy about them. They're not going to beat you with deep three-pointers a la Steph Curry or anything like that. It's almost like 90s Knicks basketball. They're going ground and pound. They're going to beat you on the inside and then get you from the outside. So I know I kind of went off topic because, again, I don't know much about college sports, but I know that going back to it, UNC and Duke, box score.
We do know something you do know a lot about is your Lakers. Why don't you kick off that segment? So let's introduce the topic here is we got the Lakers with 3 wins in a row, the Celtics on the road, the Knicks on the road, Charlotte on the road, and let's keep it simple as in, is this a no deal, little deal, big deal? Gary, floor is yours.
It's a little deal, and here's why it's a little deal, because this is not sustainable. This is not a good team as constructed. And unfortunately for LeBron, unlike last year where they basically reshuffled the deck mid-year and found themselves in the conference finals, I don't think we're going to have the same level of success as far as getting willing participants to give you back quality talent that's going to make a difference, that's going to get you back to where you were, perhaps even further into the finals. So LeBron can post the hourglass all he wants. And I look at that as like, listen, your time's running out in LA. This team is at best is literally what they are is, they're a few games over 500 now, but they're a LeBron or AD injury from regressing right back to the means and finding themselves as the 9 or 10 seed and fighting for their playoff lives as opposed to getting into the dance and not having to worry about it. So, yeah, it's a little deal that they've gone on this 3-game win streak because it lets us know like they're trying to right the ship, but they also have to realize like long term, this isn't going to cut it. As of right now, this team, I don't even know if they survived the plan.
John. For me, man, it's just one of these things with these Lakers and Ben, we talked about it via text all the time, like playoffs, right? To me, I think this is a little bit of a deal. I'm with Gary. It is a good building block, but I need to see them being able to sustain this over a 10 to 15 game period before I start believing. I think 3 games is not enough of a sample size. And Boston, I mean, they're going to lose some games. I don't think them losing. It happens. They weren't going to run the tape.
Jeff, it's the dog days of the winter. Like it's like in baseball, the dog days of summer. These are the dog days of winter.
That was trap game written all over it.
All
over it.
The Knicks game, the Celtics game, those are all. They were set up for the home team to lose, and I didn't learn anything more from those 3 wins that I didn't already know. I'm sorry, John. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right. You can keep going. I was enjoying it.
No, I'm good.
I mean, it was impressive to me that the Lakers, it was kind of stunning to me the Lakers beat the Celtics without LeBron and without AD. And then it makes me start questioning because I've always kind of been on the fence with AD. I mean, some games he can look like the beast that we think he is, and then other games he appears unengaged, almost. I'll use the word soft, and I would never say that to him because he's about a foot taller than me and 80 pounds bigger.
Just a little
I
bit
think
stronger, just a little bit.
Yeah,
a little bit
a little
stronger.
bit. A little bit. Yeah, about as much as the 49ers are favored over the Kansas City Chiefs. No, seriously, but it just doesn't seem like the chemistry is there yet with the Lakers, and I can't buy into them either. A 3-game sample size, literally every team, except maybe Detroit, has won 3 games consecutively in a row. Now, again, like Gary said, the Knicks and the Celtics, they were in a trap game, like Ben said, and they lost. Okay, as shocking as the one was, they still lost. But you need to see them play the Clippers right now. Let's see how they do against them, who they're incredibly hot. How about when they play Cleveland, which I don't know when that comes up, or if it even does, because they're incredibly hot too.
It does, yeah.
In fact, Cleveland, 75. Check this out: 75% of the games played by the Cleveland Cavaliers, they've had 5 or more double-digit scores. It's really kind of rare. And I think that reflects their unselfish play, ball handling, ball passing, speed of the passing, and just, tremendous ball movement. And whoever gets the best shot takes it. Where a lot of these other teams are, kind of, I guess the word is myopic. You get into an isolation situation. There's no ball movement. The clock gets ticked down to 8 seconds, and then you have a one-on-one game, which it's kind of fun to watch, but I like more of the ball passing and distribution, and it doesn't really matter who scores. So with that said, I don't think the Lakers are anywhere close to any of those teams. I think Boston actually is that they're number 1 right now in my rankings, but their ball movement has to get better by the time they get to the playoffs. You set up Tatum in a one-on-one situation, and a lot of times it ends up with him going like this to the referee while the other team's on a 5-on-4 break. And that's not a good thing either.
Well, trust me, being in Boston, the Celtics, first of all, they got 2 biggest issues. One, they shoot way too many threes, and they lose certain games because they shoot like 50 threes. And the second one is, to your point, Jason Tatum. There are games in the playoffs where he's looking for the foul, not trying to score, especially going to the hoop. It's so blatantly obvious he misses easy layups because he's trying to get the foul, when if he just made the freaking layup, he'd get the foul anyways. He jumps into the guy. More. He doesn't even try to score, and he ends up missing. And it's like, dude, what are you doing? Use your big boy body, make the damn layup, and then you'd get the and one. It's infuriating, to be honest. As talented and as skilled as he is, probably top 5 player in the league. To see him do that, it's like, what are you doing? You're better than that. You could be dominating these games instead of making, to me, there's just really dumb decisions, and you see it in the playoffs over and over again. It doesn't make any sense.
I always go back to Jordan, and everybody does, right? But I'll ask you this question: did you ever see Michael Jordan do that? Where
he just scored. He just scored.
And what if he got hammered? What if he got hammered and missed the shot? Did he ever go? Like, he was always hustling back on defense, and that's the point of bringing that up. But the game's a little bit different than when he played as well. But I wish we would go back to that style of play.
All fairness, Michael did get all the calls, though. Let's be clear too.
Well, it's true. There probably weren't many whistles for him to go like this.
Exactly. And even if he did that, eventually the whistle blew. Oh no, that was foul. Sorry, Michael. Sorry.
Oh, just call Byron. Right. Just call Byron Russell real quick.
Yeah.
Yep.
The most obvious offensive foul that was never called.
All right, guys. Any other thoughts on this? Because we want to get to Super Bowl picks.
I'll say the Lakers, small deal. Celtics trap game. Knicks were missing 2 of their best players, and Charlotte is awful. So what?
And the
did you
Lakers
actually-
almost
so-
let Charlotte come back.
Yeah, I saw.
Just saying,
Yeah,
I watched that
that's
game.
true.
Almost let them come back,
Mhm.
and Miller
Yeah, the
went
fact
off
they
and
won-
had a career game.
The fact that they won by 5 is more troublesome than the fact that they
There
were
you
able
go.
to beat. But like
Right.
it's more. That's more of the story than them beating the Celtics without LeBron AD. They caught the Celtics
Agreed.
slipping that night. Like that.
Mhm.
That's just one of those you got caught slacking. Hey, happens to the best of us. But a 5-point win over Charlotte, that speaks volumes to more of what the problem is than anything else.
Right? And they
Mhm.
were up as much as 18 at one point. I saw
Yep.
the game because I was curious to see. I was just curious to
They
see
respond
how-
after those 2
how
wins.
were they going to respond. I made a point to watch that game. A lot of I'm not really feeling Lakers right now, but we'll see. All right, let's do Super Bowl picks. Super Bowl picks, and then final score, and then let's get to Gary's gripes here. Let's do a round table. John, being that you're our guest, we'll give you this floor first, and then Ben, then Gary proceed with your gripes afterwards.
Well, if it's okay to take a minute, I'll read off some Super Bowl trends that I've been, sending out to
Please do.
the other platforms and stuff. If anybody listening wants to get it, they just send me a message on Twitter and I'll send them to you. There's 25 of them. I'm not going to read all of them. But let's start with the simple ones. Favorites are 11-11 straight up since 2001, but 7-15 against the spread, 32%. Favorites that trailed by at least 4 points in the conference championship win are 5-6 straight up, 4-7 against the spread, 3-8 over under. Dogs that never trailed in the conference championship win, 5-7 straight up, 7-5 against the spread, 5-7 over under. Not much there really. Teams that are on a 5 or more game win streak coming into the Super Bowl and priced as dogs like the Kansas City Chiefs are, 5-1 ATS, 4-2 straight up. Let's see, what else do I have here that's pretty good? Let's see, teams on a 5. Well, how about this? 2007 Patriots are the only team other than this season's 49ers to reach the Super Bowl, having failed to cover the spread in their last 2 games. So back on February 3rd, 2008, the Giants, led by Eli Manning, defeated the Brady-led Patriots 17-14, and the Patriots were a whopping 12-point favorite.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
The
I
team
made some good money that day.
It's the team that had the halftime lead has gone 14-4 straight up, 11-7 ATS, 61%. Notice there's 4 comeback from trailing at the half. So that might, if your team's trailing at the half, that might be a good pizza money bet for a live in-game bet. Also, the Kansas City Chiefs have played the most games of any team in the NFL over the last 3 seasons. 32 of them has seen them and the opponent with a 7 or more point lead. So I do think there's going to be more than 2 or 3 lead changes in this game. And this is one where there's a prop bet at the Circa. I forget what the odds are. I apologize, but it's pretty juicy. At the final play of the game will be a game-winning field goal. And I just love that scenario. I mean, these are supposed to be for fun, right? What could be better than watching your team? If he makes that field goal, I lose, or if he makes that field goal, I win. I mean, it just doesn't get any better than that for the fans. A couple other good ones here. The team that scores more points per game over the regular and playoff seasons has gone 6-15 against the spread. The 49ers ranked second most, averaging 29.9 points per game. The Chiefs ranked 15th, 22 a game. So that works against the 49ers. The team that, let's see here.
John, sorry.
Yeah.
Those are all amazing, but give us your pick, my man. Who wins?
All
Final
right.
score.
Sorry, I went too long.
No, you're
I
good.
got
You're
worse.
good. Those are all amazing.
I
but
got-
give me
You
a-
good, man?
I got the 49ers. I took the money line at -124 on Monday. I got -124. It was still 1.5. And really, with that line 1.5, it's better to just pay up on the VIG, especially if it's south of 130. And I can explain why it was south of 130. It's just the way the public bets in the Super Bowl. It's so different than any other game. Normally, that money line would have been about 135. But because the world is on the Chiefs now, and that's another factor in my pick. 65% of the tickets bet are on the Chiefs, but 55% of the handle is on the 49ers. So the bigger money, the smarter money, some of the guys I've become friends with in Vegas that are I consider really good and bet sums that would make our knees shake. They're on the 49ers. And I think that is the correct pick. In terms of prop bets, I'll give out a couple real quick. I like Brock Purdy over 12.5 rushing yards. I think that's still there. It was 11.5 about a week ago. He could get that on one play. You could do the same thing with Patrick Mahomes. He was around 15.5. I like Rice as an MVP candidate. However, I think their cornerback on the Niners, Ward, I think will be probably mirroring him, and they'll take him out of the game as much as they can. But I think Kittle.
John, I'm sorry, my man, but we're getting to 9:42 here. You said the 49ers, you got a final score?
Final score, I have 28-21.
Okay, there we go.
28-20. 28-20.
Okay. All right.
We go.
All right. I'm going to go Chiefs.
Sorry.
I think Chiefs are going to – it's all good. I think Chiefs are going to win this game 34-28. I don't want the Chiefs to win, but it's all about the quarterback that I trust the most. I just trust Mahomes. I mean, that's just what it is. And until he proves me different, shows me different, every time next Super Bowl, I'm going to pick him every time. Just that simple. Gary, Ben, Gary, and then go with your gripes, Gary, and then we'll conclude.
I got 27-24 Kansas City.
Okay. All right. Gary, then your gripes.
I think this is going to be a far lower scoring affair than people think. I'm saying Kansas City wins, but I'm going to give them a 20-17 final score. Real close, low scoring. All right, my gripe. I was going to go with the whole Vince McMahon thing. I'm going to save that for another episode because it's not something that's lighthearted, and that's kind of what the segment is for as far as my gripes. So another time we'll talk about Vince and him being a deviant.
Next episode.
Next episode we'll talk about Vince being a deviant, and it probably won't be a gripe thing at the end. But I want to talk about the Oakland/Las Vegas A's, because when you have the mayor of Las Vegas going, maybe you should try working out a deal to stay in Oakland. How shitty of a franchise are you? Las Vegas is dying to get professional sports in their city. They've done wonders with the Golden Knights. They're doing wonders, UFC, all this other stuff going on. They want more. You have to be a real awful franchise for somebody to go, you know what? I don't know how feasible you're going to be here. Why don't you try to work out a deal, live your dream, and stay in Oakland? Like, I'm sorry. Is nobody else looking at that story and going, there's a lot wrong there? I want the A's to stay in Oakland. Don't get me wrong. But if they were going to move to Las Vegas, make the move to Las Vegas. Like, it's one of those shit or get off the pot type moments. And the mayor of the city that you're supposed to be going to is like, you know what? Y'all keep them. That's problematic. If I'm Major League Baseball, I got to step in because you're going to blow what could be a really big deal. I know that they're trying to wait for expansion or whatever, but if you can get the A's who are sitting there dying a death in Oakland, get them. So that's my gripe for this week.
Here's what I'm going to say. The media markets, completely two different parallels. Oakland, Southern Bay Area is the sixth largest media market in the country. Las Vegas, I believe, is 30th, 35th, something like that.
It's low. Yeah.
I mean, it's easier to work in football when you're inside. It's a lot easier to work in hockey when you're inside. But baseball, and they're talking about building a roofless stadium in Las Vegas.
In the desert.
It's the desert. It's literally 4 hours north of me here in Phoenix. And I tell you what, it gets about up to 120 degrees. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me, but digress. But John, glad that you were on, sir. You want to tell everyone about what you got going on briefly, and then we're going to conclude here.
Yeah, sure. You can follow me on the X here at John Ryan Sports #1, and then the predictiveplaybook.com. I provide content for a lot of different websites like rotowire.com. So check that out. Get your pizza money bets in, and like I always tell people, try to get it through their heads. Especially this weekend, you got to bet with your head, not over it, and really adhere to that and just have fun.
Hey, I like it. I like
Good
it.
call.
Well, guys, thank you guys for coming. Well, John, thank you for coming on. Our guests, AK, appreciate him coming on. Tigney, glad that she was able to come on. Ben, Gary, guys, we're just getting started. We're on the road to episode 200. Hopefully by the end of the year, I'm pushing for it. Another milestone. 2 years of death taxes in sports. Until next time, guys, really appreciated the love and support. We will be taking a break on February 14th during for Valentine's Day because our wives probably don't want us doing a show on Valentine's Day. So got to spend time with our loved ones. But we'll be back on February 21st. Until next time, peace and love.